you? Hope you're doing well, everyone. Here we are live again. Been going live almost daily for this week, almost the 3-4 previous days. We're live almost daily, even though for a couple of minutes. We're ending this week with a beautiful 20k profits for today. A beautiful 2.5k to be entering the weekend, so to be ending this week. 60k profits, $60,000 profits, 60% return for the previous month. 60% return for the previous month. KOF signals on Telegram. That's what I'm talking about. That's when you trade with the number one. That's KOF signals. We're starting a new month. For the previous one, 60k, 60% return for the previous one. For this week, only 20% return. Nothing to be added, traders. Nothing. That's the highest investment over history. That's your golden opportunity to start right now learning the right way to trade while growing your account simultaneously. In a passive way, you place your trade and you enjoy your day. I'm always uploading some snippets as shorts, small videos, short videos about the signals, about some beautiful entries, and also going live from time to another for a couple of minutes, also to be updating you and showing you. It's always my pleasure being live, and hopefully we'll catch some time to be also trading live in public with you again and again, as we have done it multiple times in the past years. That's how you enjoy your weekend. That's how you end your week, and that's how you will start your week after 2 days. You end it on the right path and you start it in the right way. $2.5k for today, last hours. Before last 1 hour actually before the market close. 60%, I repeat, traders, I repeat, 60% return for the previous months. If you are trading even 0.01 lot size, which is the minimum, you have 1k account trading 001 micro lot, you have made $600. You have made $600, so moving it toward 1.6k. That's the minimum. While the signal is costing you a 99 per month. So look at this beautiful investment. If you are using only 0.01 more lot size, so 0.02, that would be a 1.2k profits. 1.2k profits. If you are using 0.1, that would be a 6k profits. Volume 1, 60k profits. Volume 0.2, that would be a 12k profits. It's a 60% return on your account using the standard lot size. That's in summary. This never happened in whole history. It doesn't exist anywhere else, only in KOF 1% Club, only in KOF signals on Telegram. And that's why we started the signals on Telegram, to be providing those big numbers. So you benefit, and it's always my pleasure to be providing those very large profits on a daily basis. So at the end of the month, 60% in a passive way is a lot. No investment can pay you that. You can have such ROI. You can never have such ROI in any other investment. Again, in a passive light way. Passive light way, again and again. Haters outside, haters of KOF, keep dreaming about KOF day and night. You cannot remove KOF from your mind. Of course, you keep trading his strategies on daily basis. Whom else you're going to follow and to hate? Whom else, haters? Whom else? The number one, the king of Forex, the number one that you always dream about. Whom else are you going to talk about or use his strategies or dream about? Of course, the number one, KOF. Whom else? Doesn't exist. Again, 60% return for the previous months. I also uploaded a small snippet about it from the Telegram channel, so make sure to watch the last short. It is from our Telegram channel. And I'm always uploading some trades in our shorts. For today, we ended with a beautiful 2.5K. And that's it. Have a great weekend, everyone. This is King of Forex from the 1% Club. My best wishes, everyone. So, traders, as you can see, we started with 2.4k, and take a look. We have added a 400 in the last hour. In just the last hour, we have added a $400 profits while having fun, while live with you. We have made a trade and we have added a $400 profits while being live with you. Imagine in the last hour, we printed 400. We started 2.4k and now here we are 2.8k. Now officially that's it. We close, so it's enough. Officially that's it now. Couple of minutes, 15-20 minutes to close for the market to close. So officially we stop here, but as you can see, we have added 400 in the last hour while enjoying our time with you on the live. We have added another 400 on the live. We started 2.4k and here we are, another 400 added. That's the money printing machine, as you can see, minute by minute, hour by hour, day per day, week per week, whatever. Profits are always following you. As you have seen in such a very small example in the last hour of the week, not just the day, even though in the last hour of the week, we still do it to the last second. Till the last second, signals are provided. Till the last second. No mercy here. When you say printing machine, it means from the opening till the closing. From opening to closing. That's the printing machine, the Telegram signals printing machine. That's the golden opportunity that's available for you right now in KOF signals on Telegram. We added a beautiful 400 in the last hour, imagine, while having some fun. The market moved a bit. If you noticed, it wasn't moving, but in the last hour it moved. Definitely KOF signals are waiting for that movement to benefit from it, to add a quick 400 in the last hour before going into the weekend. Till the last second. Monday, Friday, doesn't matter. Till the last second. It's a printing machine in the whole sense. Even though the last hour of the week, it's a Friday, I can stop. I could have told the members, let's stop the signals here. I could have ended it hours ago, but no, till the last second. I'm the most generous ever. It was moving for some time, then now it moved, even though the last hour. Once the market moves, there is some profits to be grabbed. Once the market moves, there is profits to get. It's always like that, traders. It's always like that. However, for today, of course, and for this week, we ended here. 20k profit for this week, so more than enough. 60% return for the previous months. We started also this new month, 2 days with very big profits, and we still have so many days. The month is still in the beginning. What are you waiting for, traders? Join right now to start growing your account. Stop being a loser. To the haters, poor losers outside, how much do you lose daily? Enjoy your daily losses, poor losers, haters. Traders, stop wasting your time. Days are passing, years, months, weeks. What are you going for? What are you going to achieve? Where are you going to reach? Now you have a golden opportunity to invest a capital that you have to start growing it. The more you keep it in cash at the bank, the more it's losing its value due to inflation. Day after day, year after year, even month after month. In those days, inflation is getting very high. So you need to invest to make skyrocket profits and grow your account. That's why KOF signals on Telegram exist. And it's waiting for you. Welcome, everyone. That's it, more than enough. We'll keep always going live as much as possible. This week I've went live 3-4 days, so more than enough. And that's it. Big congratulations to all the members from here, from the live. Many of them, of course, are watching. So big congratulations from here, from the live. We talk in Telegram. We have you will have also a chat group. We have also a chat group associated with the channel. So the channel for sending the signals, and you have also the chat group. At the end, it's a community where everyone can talk and whatever and everything. So that's it. Again, have a great weekend, everyone. See you on Telegram. This is King of Forex from the 1% Club. My best wishes, everyone.